Alrighty, so I figured we would just do a little discussion today. Recently, Ember has been a hot topic, yes, pun fully intended, because in a recent dev short, Pablo was asked if there was any Ember reworks in the making, and he simply replied with meh. And then, of course, later on he elaborates a bit more on Twitter because he always just kind of likes to give a troll first response to people. He likes to mess around a lot. I get it, I understand. He's funny and silly like that. But he talks a bit more about Ember because Ember has really just been kind of she's been needing buffs for a while, to be honest. She's just a frame that has kind of fallen behind the others in the game. And in the Twitter thread that Pablo talks about, he brings up three things. He brings up the old AFK World on Fire. He brings up, emulation requiring too much attention. And he brings up heat inheritance. The first two pretty much cross off the list. Nothing's happening to them. I really think they should. First off, World on Fire, I don't think it really holds up in today's meta. The damage of it probably does not just keep up with all the other damage that we're doing today. Especially when we got frames like Sevakoth just nuking everything with just a press of the button. And is World on Fire really that much better from Inferno? Probably not. I guess you can AFK with it if you're in like a very, very low level mission. AFK strats are dumb, I'm just honest. I don't know why anyone would want to AFK in a game. Then for the immolation, I really think that should be worked on because it feels like you get more of a penalty as you get to the higher damage reduction. The way I look at it is Ember is just not that privileged. But then the third one is actually being looked into, and they really want to do some changes to it, which is heat inheritance. Now it's a very kind of complicated thing to explain. Basically, you can just think of using an ability for heat procs just results in less damage than using a weapon for heat procs. It's like the damage just does not scale as well with ability heat procs for some reason. I guess it has to do with like just some weapons being able to make use out of like viral and maybe like the elementalist mod, etc. It's a little confusing how it works. Just in short manner, ability heat is worse than damage or weapon damage heat. Now, why do people want Ember to be better? Well, sure, her build is just confusing, and I also think that, well, people really like her heirloom skin, me included. She does look very nice. Yes, I am a simple man, Giat, but this is still just like a really cool skin. It does look pretty nice. And Ember is one that does not really like exactly feel awful to use. She just feels underwhelming. I literally gave up on trying to make a build for her. I was messing around with Roar plus Inferno. I was messing around with Fireball plus Roar. Nothing I really did seemed like it worked out as well as I wanted it to. So what's exactly up with her? Well, Fireball, of course, the base ability, pretty garbage. It's similar to Shock and just the other simple cast abilities like this. I really wish that they could just be better. Shock included. It would be nice if I could actually use the ability instead of just as some sort of augment. Which, yeah, Fireball Frenzy, this one's actually pretty good. It actually makes the ability worth using. But augment aside, Fireball, just garbage. You're not really using it at all. Like, let me see here. If I just test it on some enemies really quickly, what does it even do? Like, I couldn't, of course, build up the stacks. It takes a while. And yeah, that's like nothing. Compare this to like just Korra Whip Clawing, which, yes, I know Korra Whip Claw is an exalted, but can even compare that to Oberon's Smite, which Oberon's Smite and it still probably needs some buffs. The only thing that makes this good is Fireball Frenzy. Now, moving on to Immolation, this is one where it just feels bad because with Ember, you're having to cast your 3 a lot, especially with the 3's augment Healing Flame. This is probably one of her best augments or just best abilities. It's like really her only sort of survival tool. I'm sorry, my dog is barking right now. So why does Immolation kinda suck? It sounds good on paper, you get damage reduction, but it's scaling damage reduction. It goes from 50 to 90%, which that's like a true damage reduction, I think, as in it works on status effects as well, which is pretty nice. 90%, that's a pretty good amount. The problem is how the 3 interacts with it, Fire Blast. So Immolation, it of course costs a lot on initial cast, 77. In this case I'm running Blind Rage, don't worry about that too much. But you can see 51%, 52%. I'm currently just building up my damage reduction slowly. So the minimum damage reduction I get is 50%, which is basically nothing. And the highest level content, that's not preventing an enemy from, really that's not preventing the enemy's time to kill against you at all. 50%, like, yeah, 500,000 is still 500,000. That's still a lot of damage, but it's slowly building up. And then, of course, as I use my 4 and my 1, it will build up faster. As you can see, building up quite a bit. and I mean, it will eventually go up to the 90%, and then now it finally starts to become good. The problem is the drain. It slowly just drains more and more energy. You can see my energy just slowly dwindling down. It's just going to keep going down faster and faster. It's not a steady rate. It's not a constant 3 energy per second or 5 energy per second. It's just escalating and escalating. I don't even know if it has a cap. It probably doesn't. Let's see here. If I just max out my energy, it's going pretty dang fast right now, where really it's unsustainable. And of course, I can cast my 3 to just release some of the heat. Problem is, I lose damage reduction when doing that. And yeah, I can build back up to 90% like you just saw. But with the 3 with healing flame, you really kind of want to spam your 3 a fair bit because you keep getting overguard based on how many hits you get. So basically, I'm just constantly at like 50% damage reduction while just spamming my 3. I do get some overguard at least, but overguard with 50% damage reduction, that damage reduction again is not doing a whole lot. And yeah, you can see I can just spam my 3 a lot. I do get quite a bit of overguard as long as I'm hitting plenty of enemies. The damage is really not much. It does armor strip. I'm gonna be honest, armor stripping probably does not even really matter that much in today's era. Every weapon just relies on viral and heat takes care of all the armor stripping that you need. It's not a full strip, but it's like a 50% reduction, which is pretty good. So of course, I can just keep on spamming my 3. I can get a fair bit of overguard. It's costing a lot of energy in this case because I have 45% efficiency. I was maybe thinking about trying to do an arcane sculptor build, but I just, it's not worth trying to build into Ember for me right now. I have frames that are much better. I have frames that actually work when I build into them. I have frames that are not so underwhelming. So yeah, healing frame, it is pretty nice, but it just does not seem to synergize too well with the 2 because you're constantly just reducing your damage reduction. And like a reduction from 90% damage reduction to 50%, that's pretty awful. That's really bad. Think about it, with 50% damage reduction, you're basically just doubling your health. With like 90%, I forget the exact number, but I think it's more like 9 times your HP or something like that. So there's all that. And then there's the 4, which is the Inferno. This thing just does not do that much damage. There is the Augment, which is not bad. I mean, you get a chance for an energy orb. It helps sustain all the energy Ember is having to take up. But Inferno, just underwhelming, I would say. Even if you fully build into it, Roar and everything else, it just does not do that much damage. This is not as much investment as I could go. I could go Roar, I could go Archon Vitality. It's just not that good. Of course, you gotta spam it a couple times more than just once, but even if I just spam it a fair bit, with the type of investment I'm currently at, I probably should get better than this, because with other frames and this type of investment, I get just way more payout. I have 243% strength. That's pretty good. I of course get more with Molt Augmented. I have a fair bit of duration with Arcane Concentration. I even have a little bit more extra range. Oh, and it also does not help that Ember is a bit reliant on augments, because augments take up mod slots, which mod slots are kind of important. I also feel like Ember is just pretty hungry for every ability stat. You want plenty of strength so that you can buff up her Fireball Frenzy, you get more overguard off of her 3. The damage reduction is capped on Immolation, so that doesn't matter too much. And I mean, you do get more damage from her Inferno. And her passive is actually pretty good. It's probably one of the best passives in the game. Maybe a top 10 passive, I would say. Duration, well, you do want at least a fair bit. It's more of just a comfort thing, but I do think it affects her drain per second. Does it? Hold on, let me actually check that. Okay, I don't think it does. So what does duration affect again? Ain't that something that people kind of just dump? Okay, it does affect her drain increase per second, and then of course Fireball combo window, but I guess you mostly need it for the augment. It's more of just a comfort thing. You can kind of dump duration at least. And then with Healing Flame, well, you do kind of want higher efficiency so that you can actually spam it a fair bit. Again, don't pay attention to this build. I gave up on trying her out. Energy, she's definitely on the lower end, 641 with Prime Flow. That's kind of eh. Range, you do want a fair bit of range, because again, that affects her 3 and her 4. It does technically affect Fireball Frenzy, but that doesn't matter too much. And then you do want plenty of strength again, like I just said earlier. So there's just all this investment for just kind of meh. Whereas this is definitely not the best comparison. Maybe if I say someone like Mirage. This is my current build for Mirage. With this much strength, this much range, this much duration, I can afford poor efficiency just fine. I get plenty of damage reduction out of Eclipse that takes no buildup, no scaling. It's just constantly active. Or I could get a ton of damage increase. Her 4, her Prism, actually does a fair bit of damage, especially if you have Eclipse on the damage increase, because Eclipse damage increase actually does affect Prism, and if you're on the damage reduction, it affects the efficiency. And yeah, I'm on Bright Bonnet for this build instead. I do have an explosive Leisureman build right here. And then Hall of Mirrors, of course, I still get a little bit more damage increase. What's funny enough, her augment Total Eclipse does affect the Hall of Mirrors. But basically, for just like a similar kind of stat line to Ember, I just get way more value out of Mirage, and like nothing's really conflicting. And I don't even have to put an augment on this build, so I just get basically more mod capacity. Like I was able to afford Augur Secrets and Augur Reach. I know this is definitely a weird comparison. Mirage is not that similar to Ember at all. But I guess it's just talking about investment. I can put this much investment into Mirage, get plenty of value. Next, some of my other frames, even pretty much all my other frames. Here's Octavia. Got this much investment, works completely fine. Nova. I have this much investment, works completely fine. I'm not even really running too many Archon shards on some of these frames. Normally just like 1 casting speed if they need it. Let's see, what about my Gruta? Again, just 1 casting speed, and then, I mean, yep, this much investment works completely fine. Whereas Ember, I still have this much investment, and it just does not work out. And it's a shame, because she is a pretty cool frame, and people really like her heirloom aesthetic. So definitely wish she was better. I think Immolation should be touched up on. World on Fire, again, I mean, AFK strats are lame, but also I don't think the damage of it would even keep up in today's meta. And then Heat Inheritance would definitely help if that could get touched up on, and it seems like they are going to touch up on it. I hope so. But anyway, just wanted to yap about that for a bit. Ember is a frame that I just simply wish was better. I think the main frames people wish were better are like Loki, Limbo, Ember, and maybe like 1 or 2 more. Equinox probably. Is there anyone else? I mean, most of the frames are actually pretty decent. Banshee would be one of them, but she's actually getting some touch-ups. Maybe Frost could be a little bit better. I mean, Gyra, maybe she could be less reliant on augments. Ivara could probably use a few touch-ups, maybe. Maybe Necros. I just hear he's good for loot, and that's about it. Nidus got his touch-ups. He's pretty good now. Let's see, is there anyone else? Vauban even got his touch-ups. He's pretty decent now. Zephyr just needs like a 6 skin. Oh yeah, Corvex. I think people want Corvex to maybe get like a slight touch-up or something. Kume could probably just have her decrees be earned faster. But majority of frames are pretty good. There's just a few that are somewhat lacking. Anyway, just wanted to talk about that for now. Nightwave is not too far away. Hopefully the other updates are not too far away. I need content. I can't wait for them. But anyway, that's all I gotta talk about for now. So I'll see you all in whatever I do next.